Back when I was a kid, we'd go out rock hounding, my dad, and I'd pick up some sparkly thing, that looked like gold. I'd go running to my dad, I'd say, "Gold, I found, look what I found. What is it, Dad?" And he'd look at it like this, and he'd say, "That's leverite." I said, "Oh, wow, what, leverite, what's that?" He says, "It means leave it right where it is, it ain't worth a damn." I'm John Bonan, and I live in Elkhorn.
Over 20 years ago, John Bonan gave up his career as a biodynamics gardener in Los Angeles, California, and moved to one of Montana's best-known ghost towns, Elkhorn. John moved into the cabin that his grandfather built in 1892.
My grandfather, John Arthur Bonan, ended up here from Italy. They were hard rock miners, and they had a ranch out of Boulder. I remember my grandfather as being just the kindest, most gentle guy. He didn't speak very much English, but he used to put me on his knee and bounce me around as a little kid. And I liked being with him because I liked the smell of his pipe smoke. He used to smoke a pipe.
John's grandfather built his one-room cabin directly across the street from Fraternity and Gillum Halls, the social centers of Elkhorn, and the town's most famous buildings. The cabin is now John's home. But today, Elkhorn is different. Instead of being a mining town, it holds the mystery, the beauty, and the intrigue of being a living ghost town. John is the oldest and longest full-time resident living in Elkhorn. John's move to Elkhorn took years to accomplish, and it was not easy.
Well, when the family left in 1937, the cabin was vacant till my dad retired in 72, I believe it was. My folks and another neighborhood couple came up and began working on it to make it livable again, because everything had been stolen out of it. Windows had been stolen, doors had been stolen, old bottles had been stolen, and it was in pretty bad shape. So they came up that first year, I came up the next year, and both of my brothers came up off and on for the next 4 years, I believe it was. And we made it livable, and we cut the logs and made the log room on the back. My mother died quite young at 52. Then my dad died in 86, and my youngest brother was up here trying to hold on to things. But he didn't live here full time, like all year round like I did. He'd go down to town, to Boulder, Butte, or Helena during the wintertime mostly. So then after he died in 96, from an aneurysm, it was getting broke into again. And one of the neighbors, Bud Smith, called me on the phone and said, somebody better get up here. There's new people in town and they're just tearing stuff up. Kids are breaking into your cabin. And so I decided to sell out in LA and come on up here. We got up here a month and a week before 9/11. Been here ever since.
When John made his move to Montana, he became the first person to call a cabin a full-time home in over 50 years.
Going to be a good crop of gooseberries this year. See how big they are? Still green. Something's been eating the tops of them too. There is no place like this place, anywhere near this place, so this must be the place. Yeah, my brother put all kinds of posters and different things on the ceiling.
The cabin has electricity, an outside hydrant for water, no running water inside. When the outside hydrant freezes in the winter, John melts ice from his roof to supplement his water supply. No stove, cooks on a hot plate, 2 wood stoves for heat, shopping in nearby Boulder or Helena. And John says he likes to cook. But his favorite breakfast? Raw eggs with a few choice spices.
It's not exactly egg in the beer, but it's delicious. I used to serve most of my life down in LA. I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I got up here without the surfing. This is my son. I think that was at the Malibu contest. I think he won the Malibu Open one year. Here he is again. Me. The stuff in the cabin is partly mine. Most of it was here before I moved in. We have pictures on the walls from all stages of our lives, my brothers and sisters and my parents. That's Einstein, Michelob beer commercial. That's a great picture. Barzan. Yeah, that must have been a beer. And the Mountain Fresh Rainier beer. Yeah, it's a pretty neat poster. This is a decoupage that my brother Donnie did. He did a lot of them. He loved doing those decoupage things with postcards, pictures. This is Custer's last stand, going to the ground and getting his just due. It's my bedroom and basically a utility room. It's where I spend most of my time if I'm not cooking. I have 3 outhouses that I rotate through. This is the one, the main one. This is the one ours. I've papered it up with different posters and pictures and cards that people have sent me. As a child, I always wanted to move back up here when I got older somehow.
In 1870, Elkhorn got its start from a silver strike just south of the current town. During Elkhorn's peak period, there were over 2,000 residents, a school, a hotel, a church, stores, saloons, brothels, and a railroad. Life was not easy, and the people suffered from disease and disaster. The cemetery has reminders of the challenges the mining families faced. In 1889, a diphtheria epidemic took the lives of dozens of Elkhorn citizens. Included in those was a mother and her 6 children. All died in the same week. By 1912, the major mining operations came to an end. People left, the town withered by time, and eventually became known as a ghost town. Over the years, Elkhorn's 2 most important buildings, Gillen Hall and Fraternity Hall, were saved and have been officially designated as Montana's smallest state park. They are preserved for the public, but there may be ghosts that still haunt the building.
I'll tell you, yeah, go over there at night, man. You might see something. Might hear some.
In 1889, there was an argument between two men at a dance about whether the band should play a square dance or a waltz. The dispute eventually ended up outside. There was a gunfight. One man died in front of the hall, and the killer was eventually hanged. Maybe, just maybe, if one listens carefully, that waltz can still be heard today.
This is a good example of an old boiler, and I'm surprised it's still here, because a lot of them disappear. There's this one old bird that I think he's been here since I got here 20 years ago. He's grizzled, and you can just tell he's the oldest one. And when I go out to spread the peanut butter or whatever around, he comes and lands right next to my face. I mean, 6 inches away. It's amazing. This is an old Ben Franklin sewing machine. And it's a pretty cool looking thing. This face here is beautiful, the way it's all kind of done. Here's my favorite pair of snowshoes. These are the old-fashioned ones. Beautiful. They're not as maneuverable as the newer ones because they're longer. It's just like in surfboards. The long ones aren't quite as maneuverable as the shorter ones. But boy, those things will go through snow like you won't believe. A few years ago, there was an older lady from Great Falls visiting her. Some friends brought her. She was quite old, and she's kind of an artist. She loves painting on bleached out bones. So when she saw my bones when they were here, I gave her like 6 or 8 pieces, shoulder bones, and this is part of a skull. And I said, okay, I'll give you all those. She wanted to buy them. I said, no, I'll give those to you. You just paint me 2 pieces and send them to me. I said, I want a raven. She painted a raven for me. And I said, I wanted a wolverine. And she said she didn't know how to do wolverines, so she did badgers. There's a lot of tourist traffic up here now, a lot of interest in ghost towns. When the ground gets soft after it's frozen, they kick up all this, anything in those containers is what comes out of the ground. I get a big kick out of greeting people and telling them what I know about the past. See where that stuff goes through? They crack it right there and open it and see what it is. If it's gold or silver, whatever they're looking for, they note the depth of it, and they know the coordinates. So when they find the ore body, they know right where to dig.
Okay. Do you know what this is?
That's an old part of an old shoe from the old days.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, this is a shoe?
That's the heel. The only part of it, that's the heel. It went out to here, and the rest of the shoe was there. That's what that is. All kids get a free rock if they want one. Usually end up with 2 or 3, sometimes 4 instead of 1, but that's okay. If they're all excited about it, I'm excited too. And I give them what they want. This thing is hard. Gee whiz.
There you go. There you go.
Mother load.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Oh, let's crack it again.
That's kind of why I wanted that rock.
Sometimes people don't realize that there's a lot of private property up here.
Right.
The only places you're really supposed to go are the 2 halls, the water tank up above town, and the cemetery. And it's okay to walk around town, but you just have to be cognizant that there is a lot of private property here. I just like it up here because it's open spaces, fresh air, lots of animals. It's a nature boy's dream. I mean, got all the critters, all the seasons, and usually there's not a lot of people around. A lot of times I'm the only one. I just love it. I wish you could take a picture through my loop and see that gold right there. There's gold, pyrite, copper. When I compare LA to up here in Elkhorn, in Montana period, you don't have the smog up here, you don't have the noise. Most of the neighbors up here are really fine, you know, we help each other out. A few hard cases I will recall, but that's okay. It just amazes me how things fall together in one's life, and it's like you don't have anything to do about it. Situations present themselves, opportunities present themselves. You make a good decision once in a while, a bad decision once in a while, but I don't think I'd change much at all. I kind of like the way it goes. Oh my God. Wow. When I first got here, I told everybody, I said, this is my last stop. This is it. This is where I'm going to end my deal. But you never know. Might meet some nice young chick that sweeps me off my feet and moves me down to Malibu.